Hi, my name is Pastor Russell Mullenberg, and this is Eat This Word, a weekly program where I serve up bite-sized bits of Bible. The Bible passage we're going to consider today is Proverbs 25, verse 20. It says this: like one who takes away a garment on a cold day, or like vinegar poured on a wound, is one who sings songs to a heavy heart. So I want you to imagine a scenario. Imagine you're talking with a close friend, and this friend has just experienced some sort of crisis. Maybe they found out that a loved one has been diagnosed with a severe illness. Maybe their child has been getting in trouble at school. Maybe they've got a job situation that's gone haywire. But whatever the case, it's very emotional, it's very tense. They're describing the grieving and the mourning that they're going through. And then there's a pause in the conversation, kind of a awkward silence, and you want to be helpful, you want to be comforting, and above all, you'd really like to point this person towards hope in God, and so you kind of tentatively reach over, pat that person on the shoulder, and you say something like this. You say, God won't give you more than you can handle. Or you say, I think everything happens for a reason. Or you say something like, well, it'll get better, time heals all wounds. You're not sure what to say, and these things, these ideas, other things like this, they have the ring of truth. They sound like they take these really difficult ideas and maybe simplify them to something memorable. They're familiar. You've heard all these sayings before, and so you pull out what I call a Christian cliche. These sayings that we hear so often and that sort of exist in our culture that we repeat with the confidence almost as though we were repeating Scripture itself. But if you've ever been on the receiving end of a statement like this, you've been the one who's been struggling, or if you've been the one who said something like this, the more you think about it and the more you explore these ideas, the emptier they may seem. You want to be helpful, you're trying to be helpful, and yet statements like this often leave us feeling more lost than when we heard them at first. And so back to the proverb. The comparison here is someone trying to be helpful in a difficult situation. Like it's a cold day and your friend is shivering with cold, but the last thing you'd want to do then is go and take their coat away from them. Or your friend has been hurt, there's a wound, there's an open sore, and you take something acidic like vinegar and you pour it on that open wound. It makes things worse. And the proverb says, like one who sings songs to a heavy heart. Sometimes when someone is dealing with difficult situations and we come with a glib or trite or tired phrase, it's like we're trying to cheer that person, we're trying to tell a joke, we're trying to sing a rock song, when what that person really needs is just someone to listen, someone to hear what they have to say. These kind of ideas, these Christian cliches, are something that I'm exploring. I'm very excited about. In just a couple of weeks, my first book is going to become available. It's called Misquoted: Things That We Think Are in the Bible But Are Not. It's going to be released and published through Amazon, through their Kindle Direct program. It's going to be available mid-May. And the idea is to take phrases like these: God won't give you more than you can handle, or everything happens for a reason, to dig into where they come from and what they're really saying, and more importantly, to find the biblical truth that stands in a better place than what these catchphrases or slogans are trying to get across. In the book, I use another phrase for these Christian cliches. Sometimes I call them verbal filler, because I think it's in these difficult conversations, when there are cracks in our conversation and we're not sure what to say, we're looking for phrases like this sort of to patch up that conversation, almost like verbal spackling on your drywall or something like that. And yet I find them to be lacking, not the best sorts of building material. Jesus tells a story about the two builders, the one who builds his house on the sand and the one who builds his house on the rock. And of course, the one who builds his house on the sand, he's using inadequate building materials, he's using a poor foundation, and so when the storms of life come, he finds that his house won't stand. And I think if we build our life on these empty cliches, these tired proverbs, that we run the risk of building our house on a poor foundation, using inferior building materials. But the other person Jesus talks about, the one who builds on the rock, Jesus says that's like one who builds on his words. Here's what Jesus says, in fact, in Matthew 7. He says, therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. That's my goal in this book, Misquoted, is that we will build our lives on the rock of Jesus' words, not on the shifting sands of bumper sticker slogans or memeable phrases. And I think the more that we look into those phrases and think about them and challenge them, the more we come back to the better news of the gospel, that is, the good news of Jesus Christ. Once again, I want to thank you for watching these videos, and I would appreciate it if you would share or like them so others can see them, especially in these next few weeks as I try to get word out about this book and that's coming out. You can find more information at our website, www.eatthisword.com. And if you'd like to financially support the ministry of Eat This Word, we have a Patreon site that you can visit as well.